Little Miss Late by Roger Hargreaves. Late for this, late for that. Little Miss Late was late for everything. For instance, do you know where she spent last Christmas? At home. Early Bird Cottage. But do you know when she spent Christmas? January 25th, 1 month late. For example, do you know when she did her spring cleaning at Early Bird Cottage? In the summer, 3 months late. For instance, do you know when she went on her summer vacation last year? In December, 6 months late. Early Bird Cottage was just along the road from where a friend of hers lived, Little Miss Neat. Last October, Miss Neat was out for an evening stroll when she looked over the hedge of Early Bird Cottage. Miss Late was in the garden. "Hello!" called Miss Neat. "What are you doing?" "I thought I'd cut the grass," replied Miss Late. "I think," remarked Little Miss Neat, looking at the grass, "that you should have thought about that last April." "Tell you what," suggested Miss Neat. "Let's go shopping together tomorrow." "Good idea," agreed Miss Late. "I'll meet you in town at the corner of Main and First Streets tomorrow afternoon," said Miss Neat. 2 o'clock. "I'll be there," replied Miss Late. The following afternoon, Little Miss Neat stood at the corner of Main and First Streets at 2 o'clock, waiting for Miss Late. She waited and waited and waited some more. Miss Late arrived. "Sorry I'm a bit late," she apologized. "Sorry?" cried Miss Neat. "A bit late? It's 5 o'clock and all the shops are closed." "Sorry," said Miss Late. And that's what happened all the time. It happened when Miss Late decided to get a job. Her first job was in a bank. But the trouble was, by the time she arrived for work, the bank had closed for the day. Every day. "Sorry," she said. They asked her to leave. It happened in her second job, where she worked as a waitress in a restaurant. Mr. Greedy came in for lunch. He glanced at the menu.
"I'll have everything,"
He grinned.
"Twice."
He was still waiting to be served at 7 o'clock. So he went home. "Sorry," said Little Miss Late. They asked her to leave. It happened on her third job while working as a secretary for Mr. Uppity.
"I'd like these letters typed before I go home,"
Mr. Uppity said to her. He went home at 4 o'clock. In the morning. "Sorry," said little Miss Late. He asked her to leave. However, as it happened, little Miss Late managed to find herself the perfect job. She now works for Mr. Lazy. She cooks and cleans for him, cleans his house every morning, cooks his lunch every lunchtime. Now, Mr. Lazy, being Mr. Lazy, doesn't get up in the morning like you and I do. He gets up in the afternoon. And little Miss Late, being little Miss Late, is always late for work. So she doesn't arrive for work in the morning. She arrives in the afternoon. And Mr. Lazy, being Mr. Lazy, doesn't have lunch at lunchtime like you and I do. He has lunch at supper time. And so you see, it all works very well. Very well indeed. Last Friday evening, the telephone rang in Early Bird Cottage. Little Miss Late had just arrived home from work. It was Mr. Silly on the telephone.
I've been given some tickets for a dance tomorrow night,
he said.
Would you like to come?
Oh, yes, please, said Miss Late eagerly.
Okay,
replied Mr. Silly.
I'll pick you up at 7 o'clock.
Last Saturday, Mr. Silly walked up the path to the front door of Early Bird Cottage. He knocked. "Come in," called a voice from upstairs. Mr. Silly went in. "Make yourself at home," called little Miss Late from upstairs. "I'll be down in a minute,"